Hi everybody and big welcome to cEDH TV gameplay. Me, Pontus and Rhetoric are going up against BAER in an three versus one.
Today I'm back and I'm playing again Team Necro bluefarm. I just renamed this deck to Blasphemous. Surprisingly enough, I'm running Blasphemous Act inside a deck with ad nauseam. Just one of those things that I had to try and test. The meta has changed so much lately that I want to try and be ready for creature decks. Other than that, it's just a regular blue farm shell with Underworld Bridge lines alongside with Thrasios Oracle, Demonic Consultation. We don't know. I'm just testing.
So you all saw how terrible my last game was, even though I had 5 or 6 counter spells in a row that I was just sitting on. No lands, anything like that. So I'm going to give this one a go again. It's one of my favorite decks to pilot, teamer being Alena and Thrasios. Makes infinite mana, smashes over, has a bunch of different outlets you can use with that infinite mana.
So I'm also playing Teamer Thrasios, but strictly better since I have black as well. This is kind of a Grixis core mid-range take on Thrasios Wild Smasher. I've seen a bunch of Thrasios Wild Smasher decks being just like bad Rogsai with green, and this seems to at least try to take advantage of the upsides, so it looks interesting.
I'm playing Oskar Necro. Kinda cool commander. He's basically making everything into madness, because whenever you discard something you can cast it from your graveyard, so he's utilizing cards like Ghostly Pilferer, Ledger Shredder, Merfolk, Looter, but also one of my favorite lands, Bazaar of Baghdad. But he also makes a pretty powerful Necropotence commander.
This first 7 is decent. I mean, look, I could be really tempted by Gaia's Cradle, Otawara, Training Grounds, which nets me that, but I don't have anything to put down on turn 1 to use this Gaia's Cradle, so while I think it'd be interesting to get Thrasios out a little faster, I'm still going to be working on Hope, because I can't even use this green mana to activate Metamorphose. So there's so many goods in this, including Nibble Obstructionist. I love that card. Such a sleeper, I think, sometimes, for stopping activated and triggered abilities, but there's nothing to do with it, so we're gonna pitch. All right, second 7, it is better because we have Pyroblast and we have Displacer Kitten, which works really well with what I'm trying to do for my plan. Great Guardian can be a kind of dead card. However, there are 3 other blue players in this pod. If I play Carpet of Flowers on turn 1, I could be signaling people not to play those sort of lands, so it could be a bit of a control, and I could pay for it, but at least I can get Thrasios out on turn 2. One safe bet may be to actually just play Training Grounds first, then play Carpet of Flowers to kind of give that illusion to some folks, not give away too much information, and then go from there. So I have some things I can do. It's not a huge hurry for me to get Carpet of Flowers out, and it may force other people to use the interaction on other one-cost things like Soul Ring that we saw recently. So I'm going to keep this one. Go ahead, Mons.
We only have one land. That is risky. Can't keep this. We're going to second 7. That turned great. So we have Gemstone Caverns that will come into play fast. Then we have Mox Amber, we have Ponder, Snuff Out, and tada, we have Necropotence in the hand. Perfect. So we also have a few ways to get our Oskar into play faster with Snuff Out and Ponder. We're probably basically just gonna cast them pretty fast, just to get them into the graveyard. The question is what we're gonna pitch to the Gemstone Caverns. That might honestly be Mox Amber, I think. We could pitch Ancient Tomb because we actually don't need colored mana with this hand. We need more black mana. And Mox Amber will help us with that. Sunken Ruins will definitely also help us with that. Yeah, there really isn't anything big CMC-wise that I want to play. However, if I pitch Ancient Tomb to Gemstone Caverns, I don't have a second land. After getting Oskar into play, we already have the mana more or less, so I don't think I need Mox Amber. So I actually think in the end we are going to pitch Mox Amber to the Gemstone Caverns, keeping this hand, being quite happy with it.
You see a mana crypt and you're happy, then you realize that the rest of the hand doesn't do anything. So you mulligan. Go to second 7. This hand has a similar issue. You have a turn 2 Demonic Tutor, but that's like at best the turn 3 Heuristic Study or like any other payoff the tutor for, and that's not really good enough. We want something better than that. So let's go to 6. I have lands, a bunch of them. I don't like lands, I want fast mana. Let's go to 5. This hand just kinda has to be fine. It's not what we want really, but we have like a turn 1 Dark Ritual Tainted Pact into something of value, hopefully. We do have a couple of options for value. Hopefully I would find like a fish early in my deck before I start to exile everything. But Eldritch Revolution does actually give us some angles as long as the dockside count is up. So this is interesting enough to keep, so I will.
Flame? No, I wouldn't have enough. I was thinking I could have a one ring turn 1, which would be amazing. But a one ring turn 2 is not too bad. However, I feel like it's too much dependent on just the ring, so I may not want to rely on that. Plus, if I get a mental misstep on Soul Ring or Rat Flame, that might be not the best. I'm gonna go ahead and try on a second 7. Gamble right away with 7 cards in hand. I honestly don't know what I would go for in turn 4. I mean, going forward in turn order. Too many lands, and the chance of potentially losing Gamble or losing or at NOS to the Gamble discard. I think I may wanna try going down to 6. So let's do that. Okay, this is 6. This is not too bad. I do have a Gemstone, a Wishclaw, a Dockside, and turn 1 Fish. Keep this one. I'm gonna send Plateau to the bottom. Let's see how it goes.
So I have a pre-game effect. I have a Gemstone Caverns pitching a Mox Amber to it, putting a counter on it there.
I also have a pre-game action. I will be putting a Gemstone Cavern into play, pitching a Cabal Ritual to it.
Let's get started. Draw a card for turn. Woodsy Footsies into play. No other effects. Pass.
Going to my turn, draw a card. I'm gonna cast a Ponder. Looking at these 3 cards right here, I don't want them. I want something different. So we're gonna put them back. 1, 2, 3, and shuffle, and then draw a card. Then I'm gonna play Ancient Tomb as a land drop for the turn, and I think we're gonna still do one more thing. We're going to cycle Unearth into the grave and draw a card, and then pass the turn.
Go to my turn. That's pretty nice, actually. I'll play Command Tower as land for turn, and then I'll tap it to cast a Dark Ritual. I'll gain 3 mana, I'll use 2 of them, have 1 floating, to cast a Arcane Signet. I'll tap Arcane Signet, use my black floating to cast a Tainted Pact. Tainted Pact resolves. Let's see where we end up. Mox Amber, no thank you. Flusterstorm, no thank you. Summon Spirit Guide, no thank you. Vamp Tutor. Vamp Tutor kind of works, but I don't like it, so I'll continue. Finale, no thank you. Ignoble, no thank you. Dockside. So one of the cards we were looking for initially was the Dockside. Now both Mons and Rhetoric went with 0 artifacts lines, which makes the whole Dockside line a lot less relevant. And while we do have the Eldritch Evolution in hand, I don't think it's actually going to be relevant to go like Dockside into Thrasios into Eldritch, because Eldritching Dockside doesn't really have anything we want to find. But I actually think I'm going to keep this anyways. I assume BAER is going to play some artifacts. I assume there's going to be 1 more artifact enchantment from one of the players before my turn. And if we do Dockside for like 3-4 next turn, we can just develop Thrasios, have mana and Thrasios, and have an Eldritch Illusion for later. And that's still like fine enough to keep, I think. In this scenario, I would have preferred to keep the Vamp Tutor to Vamp Tutor for Fish in upkeep, but I basically just don't want to exile my Dockside. So we're staying here even though it might really suck. So I'll be keeping Dockside. And with all that resolved, I'll pass the turn.
Ready to take my turn. Draw a card. Tapping Gemstone Caverns for a blue. And giving your favorite fish, Mystic Remora.
I have a response. I will tap Wooded Foothills, paying a life. Grab the Tropical Island. I will tap that to cast Worldly Tutor. Worldly Tutor resolves. I'll go fetch up Dockside Tutor. Basically, that's what it's going to be, fellas. Big surprise. And here it is. Tutored up Dockside. I will put that on top of my library.
And Fish resolves. I am happy about that. Play these Wooded Foothills as my land for turn. Yeah, move through phases and move to end step.
Untap. Draw the card you all knew was there. Steam Vents, shocking in for 2. Then I will tap these 2. Cast Thrasios. Thrasios resolves. 6 cards in hand, pass turn.
Untap and draw a card. I'm gonna play this Sunken Ruin. It's a land that can basically convert mana to Dimir. So I'll tap this for blue, and this will become blue-black. And I'll tap this, taking 2 damage. And I'm gonna cast Oskar Rubbish Reclaimer. So I have 2 cards in my graveyard with CMC 1, which means that his CMC cost of 5 will be reduced by 1. And then I pass the turn.
Go to my turn. Land for turn will be a Tropical Island. I'll tap 2 to cast my commander, Thrasios. And then I'll Passios.
Take my turn. Upkeep, I have a trigger on Mystic Remora. It's gonna get a counter, and I will pay 1 for that one. But I believe that in response to that trigger, I'd rather sacrifice my Wooded Foothills and go search for a land. So I'll find Plateau and use that one to pay for my Mystic Remora trigger. After that, I will move to draw for turn. I will play this land for turn, a Marsh Flats, which I will automatically pay 1 life and sacrifice it to go find another land. The land is going to be a Tundra. Move to end step and pass the turn.
Untap and draw a card. So when Pontus was debating, Dockside, I had Worldly Tutor in my hand. And I don't know what he's thinking now. I'll be curious to look in post to see what the conversation is. But if I play any of these 2 enchantments, that gives him 2. It's not too big of a deal right now, because if I play my Dockside now, it's not that useful. So I'm tempted to put in Carpet of Flowers and then Training Grounds on the fact that I can get an activation next turn, but that does give Pontus a little advantage. So I think there's a value in just sandbagging here and maybe popping down Training Grounds and showing that I may have something, but holding up this Pyroblast and not just going all out. Because if I do, again, put these 2 down, that gives Pontus 3 mana from Dockside. But again, if he casts that, when he does it, I could capitalize on that by making more. So it's kind of this chain effect we're looking at now. He may have a different response, but we'll see. Start by playing Carpet of Flowers. You can draw from Fish. Carpet of Flowers resolves. I will move through combat, and we have a Carpet of Flowers trigger on second main. Targets BAER because he has a Tundra. I will make a blue as a result of that. Then I'm going to use that blue to cast Training Grounds. And I'm not paying for Fish. You may draw. All right, I fed the Dockside more. Pass turn.
Untap and draw a card. Yeah, that's okay. I'm also gonna feed the fish a tiny bit, tapping this, losing 2 life. Here comes the One Ring. Not paying for fish. I'm going to tap it, put a burden counter on it, and draw a card. Yeah, no, we're not feeding the fish. So we are actually passing the turn there.
Go to my turn. Land for turn is a Misty Rainforest, which I will crack. I will just pass my turn.
I'll go take my turn. I will untap, uptick Remora trigger for 1. I will pay for it still. Then I'll draw for turn, and no land drop. I'll have to pass the turn.
Take my turn. Carpet of Flowers trigger. I will target Pontus because you have 2 islands. Making 2 blue. Why not? We're just going to activate Thrasios for 2 because I have Training Grounds. All right. Here's the card I'm looking around in my hand that I scry. I'm going to put that on the bottom and then draw this card. It is a Ponder. And with that, 7 cards in hand. Pass turn.
Control counterspell player, indeed. Losing a life to the burden counter on the One Ring. Untap. Let's activate the One Ring, draw 2 cards this time. I'm gonna play Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth, so now everyone has swamps. So Necro literally gave me the black mana that I need to be able to tap this for black, because I can't actually get the colors otherwise, but here, I'm announcing and casting Necropotence. I can't pay for fish, so draw a card.
I'll just start us off with a Thrasios activation. I will scry, I'll put that on bottom, and I'll reveal a Red Flame. Then I pass a Necro.
No responses on Necro from my end.
I do have a response. I will tap Steam Vents to cast Pyroblast, targeting your commander mons. And you may draw from fish because I cannot pay.
In response to my own fish trigger, I would like to tap my Gemstone Caverns and cast a Vampiric Tutor, paying 2 life for that.
I am going to respond to this by casting a Flusterstorm. Now the storm count is Necro, Pyro, Vamp, and then Fluster, so I have 4 copies. I'm going to put 1 on Vamp Tutor, and then actually let's go. Now there could be a ritual while when I think, or so Simian's Guide and things like that. So 3 on the Pyroblast and 1 on the Vamp Tutor. Can't pay for fish though. Flusterstorm resolves, stopping both evil spells, and then the fish can draw the final card from the Pyroblast. Necropotence resolves. We could sit here and try to value engine if we want to. However, that's not fun. And I think this is a good timing window. They have basically failed to interact. So we're gonna pay 30 life, going down to a total of 3 life remaining, which means I will survive my own The One Ring if I get to my turn and I can still cast Vamp Tutors. But I'm basically grabbing 30 cards. So let's draw until we have 30 more cards in the hand. And there we go. Sadly, we didn't draw the win. We didn't get our Lion's Eye Diamond to our hand, so we're gonna be discarding a lot of cards. I'm going to discard down to these 7 cards and then a whole bunch of other cards that's gonna go to exile. But then, how Necropotence actually works is that it's a trigger. And in response to that trigger, so these cards goes to my graveyard, but Oskar can still cast them. So I'm gonna cast my Mox Diamond, pitching Emergency Zone to it. You can draw a card with the fish. And then casting Chrome Mox in, printing a Pact. You can draw for the fish as well. Then we're casting Misha's Bubble, you can draw from fish again. And then I'm discarding Ursa's Bubble. I'm instantly cracking these to take a look at the guy I've just feeded a lot. So I will try to draw some cards back up to 7 when Pontus gets his turn. And then I pass the turn to Pontus, and I hope I didn't feed too much, and I hope I survive.
Go to my turn, and Mons will outdo me in my draw step because he will draw 2, while I just draw 1. I will tap Arcane Unit and Underground Sea to cast a Dockside. Dockside will make 7 treasures, and I will tap 2 and sacrifice a treasure to cast a Eldritch Evolution, sacrificing Thrasios, not paying for fish.
I will show you a Fierce Guardianship on that one as everyone passes in a circle, counterspelling your Eldritch Evolution so you can't have a Tamer.
It's countered. Then I'll pay 3 mana to cast a Mnemonic Betrayal.
Guys, I'm just saying, I got nothing for this. So if you guys got it, do something.
I'm actually going to pass. I don't want to feed the fish more, and I want to keep my counterspells, and I don't really see something that's winning here yet, so... And eventually, if Pontus is storming off here, fish is gonna draw a card and interact with that, I theorize. So pass.
Mnemonic Betrayal resolves. I will cast the 2 bubbles, not paying for fish. I will crack both of them to target BAER. I'll sack 2 treasures to cast a Cabal Ritual from BAER's exile, making 3 black. I'll use 1 black to cast the Vamp Tutor from BAER's graveyard.
In response to Vamp Tutor, I'm gonna have to pay 2 life and cast a Mental Misstep.
I'll respond to the misstep. I will Pyroblast the misstep, paying a black because of Mean Betrayal being a good card.
No response to Pyroblast.
I'm going to cast a miscast on your Vamp Tutor, not paying for fish.
I will use my last black floating to Flusterstorm the miscast.
I have no response to this. Miscast is stopped.
Vamp Tutor resolves. So what's happening here is that I'm basically 1 mana short to have anything guaranteed. So my play here is to basically gamble on me drawing something next turn. And the reason I go for this hard this turn is that I just assume that if I pass, I am losing to any of the other 3 players. Like, the fish was fed enough before I started doing this, and it's not gotten better. The not getting better part is me. I agree, but it's not getting better. So yeah, I think this is my only window. So I basically have 2 options with 2 different lines. We can hope for mana to be the solution, or we can hope for having access to winning being the solution. So we're okay with 3 options. We have Breach, but Breach is not guaranteed at all. I think Breach is kind of the weakest option that we have currently because our graveyard is that small. We can find Timur Sabertooth, but then we need to find 4 mana on our turn. I don't think that's reasonable. So I think our best choice is to actually get the Fimage, to have another Dockside, and hoping for our 2 draws to be good. If we had 1 more mana, we could just do more stuff, basically. But as we don't have that, I think Fimage and hoping is our best call. It's not a good call, but it is our best one. So let's try. I'll put this card on top. Then I'll sacrifice a treasure to cast a Rite of Flame.
I think we need to be worried about this, so I'm going to tap Tropical Island and cast Brainstorm. Paying for fish, either. All right, Brainstorm resolves. All right, I've put 2 cards back, and yeah, we'll pass otherwise.
Rite of Flame resolves, and I'll use the 2 red mana to cast a Final Fortune. Final Fortune resolves, and I'll go to my last turn. I'll untap, I'll draw 2 for the thingies, and 1 more. That's not that great. I will pay 2 mana to cast a Phantasmal Image. It will enter as a Dockside, and I'll make 7 more treasures. Then we're going to be a bit spicy and cast a Thrasios. Then we're going to activate Thrasios. That would have been a great draw, but we didn't get that on the earlier draws. So I will reveal the One Ring, and then I will die.
All right, so while I am slightly happy that it didn't work out, what if Vital Fortune doesn't? Goodbye, Pontus. Bear, I don't know how many cards you have in hand at this point, but if you don't kill us at this point, it's going to be amazing.
2 people all inning a little bit too much, maybe, while a fish in play. Don't fail your wins when there's fishes in play.
I'll happily go to my turn. I will untap. I will uptick the fish trigger, and then I will not pay for it. So, bye-bye fish. Card for turn, making it 26 cards in hand. Cast a Rite of Flame. Rite of Flame resolves. I will get 2 red mana in my pool. With those 2 red mana, I'd like to cast a Dockside Distortionist. Great. Dockside resolves, and I would be getting 6 treasures out of that. Just to be safe, I'm gonna use 2 treasures here and will cast a Wishclaw Talisman. Perfect. Wishclaw resolves, and then I will tap my Wishclaw Talisman to go search for a beautiful card. And I'm gonna find this card, which I'm going to cast pretty much immediately by paying 1 treasure and casting there it is. Casting this Silence.
Being safe is good. Rhetoric, do you actually have anything? I have something, but I need a follow-up after. So I have Demonic Consultation that can find a counterspell for silence. But after that I have 0. So...
I do not.
Alright. If he doesn't have anything, I'm not gonna bother. Consult, find a mental misstep, try to counter your silence. But after that I pass on everything regardless.
With that resolved, I would like to then move and cast Thrasios Oracle. I would like to hold priority on the ETB on Thrasios Oracle and cast Tainted Pact. And I win the match.
So my position, kind of all inning there. I mean, cEDH is a very fast format, and eventually people get there. And the moment where Necropotence resolved, no one had counterspell. If I just would have drawn into Alliance a diamond among the 30 cards that I drew, I actually would have won on the spot there. I didn't draw the Alliance a diamond, so I couldn't perform a win there, sadly. But it was, I mean, it's kind of give and take. You could discuss the part where should I've actually have just sat there and value engine instead with the Necro and the 1 ring. That is a fair point. Like, pausing the turn, maybe survive a turn cycle, depending on the situation. We've already given a few cards to the fish, so I have a feeling you were trying to potentially win anyway, and I wouldn't have had much interaction versus that after this because I have basically tapped out. So it felt like there's a huge chance I will lose if I just pass turn with Necro here, but I can see the reason that maybe that's something I should have done. But on looking to the chance of drawing into a tutor and a Lions of Diamond is pretty okay, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think going for it there is like perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But everything that happened after that was just due to you going for it.
Yeah.
Like the fact that you go for it and fizzle means that in my seat, I know that if he gets back to you, you probably win. The fish is fed enough that he probably wins. And Rhetoric has the Dockside for 7, and like that's scary enough.
Yeah.
So like I just feel like I lose 3 times before I get to my turn again, which puts me in the position that where I need to go like, okay, now I need to find a win or I just die. And well, alternative 2 happens.
That's actually something I kind of thought about as well. I just increased the artifact enchantment count for Dockside a tiny bit with putting Necro to play, and I had seen like Docksides being tutored for, so I didn't. It felt like you guys were trying to more than BAER would maybe try to win if I just pass turn here with value engine intent. But I agree on your position too. I think you did the correct thing trying to desperately. That felt like a very desperate move in the end, by the way.
It was. I did get screwed by not playing Meme Betrayal first. That was just a dumb line. Playing Meme Betrayal would let me like try to go for a win with backup, which would be better. But you miss stuffs. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
I definitely think, like I said, that paying into fish, that second turn really did pay. I had my Dockside in hand at that time, and Dockside wouldn't be in probably like 4 treasures at the most to cast maybe my commander and then try to get going with that. But then I'm happy I did pay for it and that you went for it. It's because of you that everything like unchained from there.
Yeah, the format is kind of very turbo and fast. Like if I'm not doing it, the next person might be doing it. So it's very risky sometimes to pass the turn if you can go for it. On the other hand, you should be very careful. Apparently it was an open window I was able to counterspell through, so to say.
Yeah, I mean, I think this game just, even though I was first watching like all this happen, you're demonstrating the sort of balance between risk and reward. if you go all in, you better win. And if you don't, you know, there's a consequence, but you can't sit back and just sort of hesitate because of fish. I think I probably hesitated a little too much with playing my own dockside. I wasn't going to make that many treasures. But I did have a Displacer Kitten. I thought I had 1 extra mana, flickered again. But unlike before, you know, we weren't at 7. We weren't at enormous amounts of treasures you would generate at that time. So I kind of sat back a little bit. Maybe paid the consequence. I don't know. But
No,
you guys really just,
I don't think
you jammed and you did it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you misplayed. I mean, the dockside, when you could have cast it, it wouldn't have made that much, I think. And I think you would have basically cast Kitten and then you would have tapped out after that correctly, if I think.
I had 1 treasure left. I think that would have been the case.
Could you have done anything with that?
Not really. Yeah, maybe brainstorm or something else. So yeah,
wait,
it wasn't really a.
If you
value.
brain, yeah, no, then I don't know. Maybe you could have gone for it, but it's
Brainstorm into Flicker Dockside sounds like a pretty good plan, though.
it does
honestly.
actually. What was the dockside count though? I had a 1 ring in play, and that's what it is.
There was 3 or 4. I think it was 4 for me, but I had 1 less than you, so it should be 3 for you, if I remember correctly. But it might be that I had 5 and you had 4. But it's like
No, you had like nothing.
I had 1.
I had fish.
Oh, it's free. So Dockside would have made free for Rhetoric that turn when he passed turn.
Yeah.
So you could have cast it with Carpet, had 2 more. So you had 5 mana. Yeah, you would have been able to tap out, have a Flicker and a Brainstorm, and then make 3 more. Honestly,
Knowing how many counter spells you had, though, I think maybe at that point you didn't. I don't think you necroed just yet, or maybe you did. No, you didn't. Yeah, so I was worried that I'm just going to be running into counter spells with 1 mana open, and yeah. But again, like I think it just demonstrates what happens when you take that risk and just do it. Sometimes it really pays off, and you guys got super close.
Yeah, that's it for us this time. Hope you enjoyed the post-game talk, trying to implement it in every single game we can. It's good to have these to try to showcase our extra thought process and maybe teach something extra that we missed during the matches. In any case, take care guys, and we'll see you in the next gameplay video.